Iron Man, Tony Stark, the knight-wearing and invincible armor genius playboy billionaire philanthropist. If in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Tony has been depicted as Earth's mightiest hero and the main character of the Infinity Saga, the comic book universe is far from being as accessible or as epic as his movie counterpart. The fact is that Tony just lacks modernity, which is kind of ironic for an Avenger powered by technology. Created during the Cold War, he was the representation of the race to weapon and the capitalism. Even his enemy, notably Crimson Dynamo and Demander, and are respectively caricature of communism and China. Dare to oppose the military force of the US, an ideology that doesn't have its place in 2022. And after that, we keep wondering why Iron Man 3 wasn't faithful to the comic book version of the Mandarin. Seriously, can you imagine the Twitter scandal? He is smart enough to be called a genius, but is often eclipsed by characters like Hank Pym, Bruce Banner or Reed Richards, and Victor Von Doom, who are without any doubt Marvel's smartest human being. In terms of technology, Tony has access to some impressive tools and gadgets. Unfortunately, it's not much compared to Doom and Richards once again. Or if we want to dig outside of the Marvel universe, characters like Blue Beetle, Mr. Terrific, or Cyborg have nothing to be jealous of Tony when it comes to their high-tech toys. But today I want to dig out that hole and proving that aside from being a forgettable hero, Iron Man is a diamond in the rough. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, I'm Alex from Zelrix, and today I will be giving you the greatest comic book moment of Iron Man. What makes Iron Man great is not the attitude, the toys, or the money, but simply the fact that he is able to improvise solutions that no one else could think of in desperate situations. A bit like you could solve the problem of not being a subscriber to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button beneath the video. You may also activate the bell to be notified whenever a video comes up to be sure never to miss new content. Isn't that wonderful? I love the internet, what a great place. So if you don't read comic books with the intro of this video, you will understand that people see Iron Man as an overrated character. Some Marvel comic fans often say that the movie version puts him on the spotlight, but that his comic book counterpart is lazy written and really forgettable. I'm here to rectify the shot, so without further ado, here are the greatest comic book moments of Iron Man. The suits. Originally, this video was supposed to be about my favorite Iron Man armor, but I thought it would be more interesting to explore the topic in a larger optic. That's it, of course I was gonna mention the suit in an Iron Man video. What am I, an animal? These pieces of technology are impossible to dissociate from Tony, but they also represent how smart and creative he really is. Every superhero needs a super suit. We all have our favorite Spider-Man, Batman, or even the Flash suits, for example. But we'll see that the armors are special. Tony is part of them just as much as they are part of him. You obviously know the Extremis armor and its bleeding edge evolution. Extremis has the particularity of being linked to Tony's mind, and he can control it like a muscle, truly giving him the best reaction time and control over his weaponry. The bleeding edge armor is essentially the same, except it lives within Tony's body. He can summon it at will, gearing up whenever he wants, but it was later on removed by Reed Richards. Let's put the metal aside to look at the holographic armor. The escape armor is made of a piece of the escape, an alternate dimension discovered by Tony, and it's said to be able to generate pretty much anything the wielder can think of. The only limit is our imagination. I know you probably are a fan of DC Comics, so yes, that's a Green Lantern's ring. There is also the Thor Buster, an armor that is inspired from the Destroyer, meant to be able to go toe-to-toe with Thor. It's capable of resisting the shot of the God of Thunder, and was even powerful enough to force his hammer out of its path. But this armor is not to be confused with the Destroyer version of the Iron Suit, a suit created by Tony on Asgard made of Uru, this enchanted Viking metal. And with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness right around the corner and all the rumors about Tom Cruise portraying superior Iron Man, I could not go without mentioning the symbiote armor. This is a liquid metal armor mimicking Venom and other Clintars. It is wielded by Superior Iron Man, an evil variant of Tony who took over the world with a nap. A nap that can make you beautiful and popular, but only hic it costs $100 per day. Do we have to mention the fact that Tony is taking over the world with a phone app and that his suit looks like an Apple product? I mean, look at that, the guy is wearing an iPhone. I bet Steve Jobs is rolling in his grave right now. And finally, by far my favorite suit, the Prime Armor. Not only is it capable of building all sorts of repulsor technology and weaponry coming in all shapes and size, it also contains all the previous version and capability of the Iron Man suits, including but not limited to its own version of the old Buster suit. I really enjoy this suit in terms of aesthetic, capability, and concept. Mainly because it has a samurai mode if Tony ever need to use a katana, which to be honest, happens way more frequently than you might think. The most powerful armor. Stark is a mere human, but he's playing in the same lane as Super Soldier and Thunder Gods. So naturally, his most powerful suit must be through the roof. Which is the most powerful Iron Man armor is a controversial question and used to be very difficult to answer. A name that often comes back is the God Killer armor, a giant robot given by an alien that is supposed to be powerful enough to go toe-to-toe with a Celestial. He was briefly put in it, but unfortunately the true power of the suit remains unknown. That said, later on Tony managed to recreate the weapon, but it was destroyed when targeted by multiple Celestial at once. And we don't know if this version is as powerful as the original model. Recently, the record was broken and we were introduced to Tony's self-proclaimed most powerful armor, the Godbuster. The power of this armor is incredibly vague as Tony conceived it after waking up from the escape, this alternate dimension from which he built the hollow armor. Although what we do know is that this suit is incredibly powerful. It was even described by Arno Stark, Tony's brother, as Tony Stark's masterpiece and the ultimate weapon. Unfortunately, Stark used it exactly one time and then destroyed it, not even bothering to create a blueprint. He then let the memory of this suit extinguish within his mind, saying that no man should possess such incredible power. Hand-to-hand combat. Iron Man is often represented as a version of Batman who is useless with his bare hand and only relies on gadgets, which is so untrue for two reasons. First of all, Tony is a fully functional human. He doesn't have bare hands, he has human hands. Okay, I'm going. Sorry, that was a crappy joke. Secondly, if we know how to dig, we have example from the comics that proves that Tony is an incredible hand-to-hand fighter. Like in Iron Man 2015 when Tony defeated a bunch of killer robots while in his underwear and t-shirt with a lightsaber katana. That is also the comics where Tony built a samurai mode for his armor if you're interested. Seriously, if you want to read comics but don't know where to start, this is great. There is also the Illuminati comics, a run that if you're a big Marvel fan you should check out. After the event of Civil War which led to the death of Steve Rogers, Tony and the rest of the Illuminati are taken hostage by the Skrull. Understanding that no member of the team is gonna talk, the Skrull try to trick Tony into revealing classified information. Not only does Stark see through their lies, but it is naked, unharmed, and in prison that Iron Man took down an entire team of highly trained Skrull agents. He will finish the fight with the punchline, "Thanks for the combat training, Cap, a farewell letter to a deceased friend." An important character. I'm gonna grant this to you, Tony doesn't have that big story that instantly come to mind when his name pops up in a conversation. Okay, there are Extremis and Demon in the Bottle that are iconic for the character, but it's nowhere near as recognizable as a Dark Knight Return or as a Spider-Verse, for example. Case in point, I just named a Batman story and a Spider-Man story as the more iconic storyline of their respective characters. And if you're a comic book fan, you're already writing an angry comment saying this story is better or this story is better. Don't lie, you were doing it. But the truth is, Iron Man just doesn't have that big of a solo title to his name. But there are proof that if Tony Stark doesn't shine in his solo title, he often finds himself in the center of big events. Often regarded as the bad guy in Civil War, partly due to the fact that the movie adaptation was labeled as a Captain America movie, it is a bit more complicated than that. It is a duel of ideology. On the one side, Steve Rogers defending freedom and heroism, and in the other one, Tony who believed that the Avengers are too dangerous to to be left wandering without any supervision. Sure, we're tempted to root with the guy that defends freedom, but when you think about it, the Civil War storyline only proved that the Avengers are indeed wild and dangerous due to the incredible amount of casualties that occurred with every single intervention. The comic literally starts with kids dying in a high school, and it ends with Captain America looking around him and understanding how dangerous the Avengers are, and most importantly that he had crossed lines that he shouldn't have. And yes, during this war, Tony has done a lot of bad choices that led to dire consequences. But the point is, when we maintain the point that the Avengers are wild and dangerous, they are. And even as an Iron Man fan in the comics, I am tempted to root with Captain America in this war, because I agree with his ideology and his principle, but that does not stop me from seeing that Tony had good points and that he was not trying to hurt anyone. Contrary, he was trying to protect the entire world. This is also the comics where Tony invented the Iron Spider suit, a piece of tech that instantly became iconic for Peter Parker. After this event, Captain America will die, Iron Man will become director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and this is when he and the other Illuminatis will be led to an awful discovery. The Avengers find out Elektra is a Skrull in disguise, which will kick out the event of Secret Invasion. Once again, an important storyline, and guess who's at the center? Iron Man. In this storyline, the Skrull invade Earth by shape-shifting into heroes and villains. What makes them dangerous is the fact that no technology or magic is capable of detecting a Skrull imposter from a true hero or villain. And why do I say Tony is at the center of the storyline even though some other heroes also share a lot of screen time? It's because we really dive deep into the psychology of Iron Man. His paranoia, his fear, his determination to protect Earth. A good portion of the story is told from his perspective. We understand how truly Tony is lost, probably due to the scar left on him by Civil War, where he felt betrayed by a friend who then died partly due to most of his decisions in his event. His greatest solo moment. Even if Tony shines more as a part of the Avengers than in his solo title, it doesn't mean he doesn't have great moments on his own. Like after the second Civil War that put him this time against Captain Marvel, where Tony seemingly died. We learned that he has digitalized his entire conscience in the case of an unfortunate major case of deadness. Iron Man then acts as a mentor and an AI for his replacement, Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. But don't worry, he will return and manage to create an entirely new body, replicated cell by cell for himself, and Rhodey, his best friend, killed by Thanos in a brutal way. Now flashback to 2013 for the storyline The Secret Origin of Tony Stark. In this storyline, Tony has to face the past in the form of 451, a rogue Religan robot assassin that is capable of hacking pretty much anything with a network. Years prior, this robot made a pact with Howard Stark, Tony's dad, which led to Tony having to face the consequences. But Tony ultimately defeated him. How? By understanding that to defeat a hacker robot, you have to think like a machine and not like a computer. We see Tony taking off his helmet, symbolizing facing his demon himself and not hiding behind his armor, and it is with his own set of skills that he will defeat this alien menace. The greatest moment. Could have been Extremis, it could have been Civil War, but if we have to talk about what I consider to be the greatest Iron Man moment of all time, we have to dig up one of, if not my favorite comic book storyline of all time. Avengers versus X-Men. It's not a strong armor, it's not a sassy remark, it's not Tony rising up to the level of the gods by his intelligence. Even though you can find everything I just listed in this comic, seriously, go read it, it's so good. It's simply a narration from Spider-Man that perfectly represents the character. Man in a metal suit versus the mutant master of magnetism. If you think this is no contest, you've never met Tony Stark. After that, Quicksilver unfortunately interrupts what has the potential to become the greatest fight in comic books history. But that's not the point. The point is that this little dialogue box, these two sentences, they say so much about Stark. Heroes represent something. Superman is hope, Batman is vengeance, Daredevil is justice, Spider-Man is responsibility. Tony is a Marvel character, and opposite to DC Comics, Marvel is built to be relatable, to be a reflection of the real world. That's why heroes and villains from the Red House have failures, why they are vulnerable, while in the DC universe you could erect a church for a Superman cult and oh wait! It exists! Iron Man, he's a symbol of improvement, of facing your demons and working despite your flaws. Why do you think that in the MCU, whenever Tony says, "I am Iron Man," he never wears a mask? Because the armor isn't what makes Stark a hero, it's just a tool. The real hero is the man inside. He represents us, humans, always building better suits, time and time again, to become the greatest version of ourselves we can ever hope to achieve. In a way, we are all Iron Man. So tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this character? Do you think he's as great as I depict him? Or am I just blinding myself in denial because he's my favorite character of all time, all fiction put together? Tell me all that in the comment section down below. Then remember to subscribe and activate the bell to be notified whenever a new video comes up. Share this video with all your Marvel and Iron Man fans, friends, and as always, thanks for watching.